Good morning. This is a tutorial to make these very simple little journal cards. I have a number of tutorials on ideas for how to use up the scraps and items you've accumulated for junk journaling, scrapbooking, general paper crafts. They're easy to do, they don't take up much time, they're ideal for beginners. And also, because they're nice and quick, they're good for people who want to be doing crafting, don't have as much time as they like, but this way you can finish something in the time you have available, hopefully, even if that's not a lot of time. So these are simple little journal cards that use cigarette cards and bits of scrap. So to start, what you need to do is, a lot of crafters get lots of text scraps, junk journalers that is. So basically I took a book page and I tore up or just piled up all my tiniest scraps and stuck them down to create a very, very basic masterboard for my background. And I tend to make up a few of these, so I have them in my stash. So this is like almost like a separate little project on its own. So you've always got something in the back that you can then pull out and use for a project. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to cut this. Where is my, there it is. Cut this, and I'm just, all I'm wanting is even edges. I don't care what the size is at the moment, and I may trim it again partway through this tutorial to get it to the size I want. So I'm then going to glue down, whoops, no, before I do that, because what I've done here is I've glued one main stripe there, and I'm going to use this for my main stripe here. And as you can see, there's scrap. There's been lingering in my scrap box for a while, and now I get to use it, or at least part of it, because this is the thing with scrap. Quite often we use a bit of scrap, but then it still remains. That will go back into my scrap box. Okay, and I'm happy to trim the top and bottom after I've glued them down. So grey day here today, might rain, but I quite like the cool and I love autumn. So to me this will be a lovely day where I can go out and have a nice long walk because it won't be too hot. So for me that's a good thing. I'll trim those off in a little while, and as I said, I was probably going to trim this as I went along. Now I am definitely going to trim it because I realise it's not the right size. And I don't really have a formula for the size to be using here. I just do it as I go along. And I purposefully had these little tabs come out. Now, if you wanted to make it like a fold out, you would just fold a piece of paper and then it could be a nice fold out for you. But I'm quite happy with these to be little tuck-ins, and I like that I can then pull them out with the cigarette card. Also, I've got a fair number of cigarette cards now, which I barely do anything with, and it's a case of, come on, Rachel, come on, let's use a bit of it, if only a bit of it. And some of them are so lovely and so cute. I'm like, nope, really want to be using them for something, so I'm just going to get my roller out. And the last thing to do here is to put another coordinating strip here. Now I've picked coordinating strips with images there, and for this one I'm just going to do a plain one, see how that looks. So I've got the leftover here from an image that was, I think, from a book about the seaside. So I'm just going to cut it down. And I tried to make the two different sizes, though I did actually do that the same size, and then I preferred it when they were different sizes. So really, thinking about it, do whatever size you like. Whatever size works for you and for the project you're doing. And I've picked colours here that complement the colours in the cigarette card. You could do ones that are complete contrast. So, yep, I'm just going to stick this piece down. I'm just going to grab my scissors. Thought I had everything with me, but as so often happens when you're doing a tutorial, you realise, nope, you left something. Cut that off. Oh, not that off. Don't cut that off, Rachel. That's the tab. And the only other thing I may do to the front of this is actually take off a little bit of the top. Just because I think that's perhaps a little bit too high now. There. Okay. Now with these two, I have added writing space. So that's bits of avocado dyed paper. That's a bit of paper, and that was quite fun to make. It was basically a piece of white printing paper, and I mixed some food colouring with a bit of water and some fairy liquid, blew bubbles in it, dropped the bubbles on the paper and let them all pop and basically stain the paper. So that was quite fun. If you've never done that before, I recommend it. So on the back of this one, I have got this paper that I'm going to use, and this is from just a simple notepad which I then blueberry dyed, and I find the colours you get from dyeing with blueberry are really lovely. They're like this lovely kind of greeny colour. So if you haven't dyed with blueberry, give it a go. I'm just going to, I'd like to keep the bits at the top of this, I like the way that looks, so I will just remove that. And I suspect gluing the top bits at the top will be a bit of a pain, so I think I will glue under them but not over them, otherwise I'm likely to get them torn and get them all sticky, which I would rather avoid. So I can't remember if I mentioned, but I'm using Yoo-Hoo glue stick. Because of the nature of this project, if you've got double-sided tape, you could use that too, because you're sticking in very simple strips. So if that would work better for you, then have a go with that. And I'm just using my roller just to squish it down, and actually I quite like the fact that that's not fully stuck. So there you go. There's just a little idea of how to make a couple of these little tuck-in journal cards with their inbuilt tabs because you're using a cigarette card. I hope you found this tutorial interesting and that it inspires you to use up some scrap and maybe some cigarette cards which you've been holding in your stash for ages, not knowing what to do with. I am on Instagram, details below, so do tag me if you have a go at this or any of my other tutorials, because there are thousands and thousands of cigarette cards in the world. Different people will make different things, different people interpret tutorials in different ways. It's always fascinating to see what people make. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and you go away, and even if you don't make this, you create and you play, and I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. Okay, bye.